Hello and welcome to the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. This is episode number 10. My name is Ismael San Juan. I am so happy to be here today. Today we're going to talk about the Lakers. The Lakers win their 17th title in their NBA history, defeat the Heat in Game 6, just completely annihilated them, to be honest. Also, NFL Week 5 is in the books. We had a great Sunday yesterday. We had some great games. A huge upset. The Raiders upset the Chiefs. Fortunately, Dak Prescott got hurt too. We'll touch on that. So this is episode 10. I hope you guys stick around. We're going to talk about sports and more sports. First and foremost, just wanted to congratulate the Lakers on being NBA champions again after 10 years. 10 long years for Laker Nation. 10 long years for me, as I am a Laker fan. But it's all worth it. We're champions again. We tied the Celtics for 17 titles, most all time. Lakers have won more championships in the last 30, 40 years, so I believe their championships are more impressive as has been done in modern basketball. But we could discuss that in another episode. Just today should be all about the Lakers, congratulating the Lakers and giving respect to the Heat. The Heat put up a great fight. The Heat made the finals very interesting. A lot of people thought the Lakers were going to sweep them. I said Lakers in 6, and they won in 6. But honestly, once Dragic went down and Bam Adebayo got hurt for a couple games, I thought the Lakers were going to sweep. But Jimmy Butler put that team on his back, Game 3 and Game 5. He had 2 triple-doubles, and they won both games. Just amazing performance by Jimmy Butler. I think on Game 5, he only didn't play for 43 seconds. Just crazy stuff. What a competitor he is. The Heat have a great player. They have a great core. They have some shooters. They have Tyler Hero as a rookie. Duncan Robinson, I believe, is in his second or third year. They have some building blocks. If you're Heat fans, for Heat Nation, the future looks bright for you guys. Unfortunately, you guys just met up against the juggernaut that the Lakers are this season. They were the second best record in the NBA regular season. They were the best team in the playoffs by far. They have 2 of the best players in the whole league. LeBron and AD were both voted into the first team All-NBA. There's no shame in losing to the Lakers, so just wanted to tip my hat to the Heat for making the series, the finals, a competitive one, for making it fun to watch, for not just being a foregone conclusion that the Lakers were going to win. And especially shout out to Jimmy Butler for just jumping into that superstar category. He had a great finals. The final performance that he had, he could not hang his head. He had a great performance, and we'll see what the Heat do from here. I might do an episode just on what they'll do from here on out, but just tipping my hat to the Heat. Great run. No one saw it coming. Shout out to Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, Bam, everybody. Just good job overall for the Heat. Now on to the Lakers. Lakers get their 17th title, and boy does this one feel sweet. Bittersweet just because, Kobe passed away at the beginning of the year. The great Kobe, Laker great. A lot of people say he's the best Laker of all time. Definitely up there in the Mount Rushmore of best Lakers of all time. He meant so much to the city of Los Angeles, to the Lakers, and he had a tragic death at the beginning of this year. And for the Lakers to be able to finish this crazy basketball NBA season with the championship and, dedicated to Kobe and Gigi is just a great, it's a feel-good story, and it's just a touching, great way to end the season. So hopefully Kobe is, wherever he is, he's looking down upon this Lakers team, and just hopefully he's very proud of this team because they did him right by winning the championship. But also wanted to touch on LeBron. LeBron fulfills his promise to Los Angeles, to the Lakers, to Laker Nation. When he came here 2 years ago, he said that he was going to bring the Lakers back to the mountaintop to put some respect on the Lakers again after suffering through some 8-9 long years of, just being mediocre. And he did that. He did that on his second season with the help of AD, with the help of a lot of key quality role players, with the key signing of Frank Vogel as the head coach. That was very important. But yeah, LeBron once again fulfills his promises. He did a promise to LeBron to Cleveland when he went back there. He did it to Los Angeles, and he has fulfilled both times. He just keeps adding to his resume. His 4th title, his 3rd different team, he wins Finals MVP. First time in NBA history that's been done. Just super impressive stuff by LeBron. I'm so lucky that he's a Laker. He's a Laker. I think he's gonna finish his career as a Laker. So honestly, the Lakers could potentially repeat next year. And LeBron doesn't look like he's slowing down. He's age 35 at this point of his career. He might not be as athletic as he was when he first came in, but he's still a freak of nature. He's still the smartest player in the NBA. And Anthony Davis is just entering his prime. I believe he's 26 or 27. He has a lot years left. And, if I'm the league, I would be worried. LeBron is not slowing down. AD got a chip. He has that monkey off his back. He's going to play more loose going forward. It's a scary sight for the rest of the league. I know LeBron is pretty good at recruiting, and I know some free agents are going to want to hop onto this train and hope they could get a championship, because a lot of players, even this first year that they won a championship, a lot of players that had never won a championship got one. So I wouldn't be surprised if Los Angeles is a prime free agent destination and they just keep on building and making a stronger team. I wouldn't be surprised if next year's team is stronger than this year's. And we should have a great NBA season next year. Hopefully it's COVID-free. But, some storylines concluded yesterday with the Lakers becoming champions. Most notably for me, Dwight Howard, after his first stint in 2013 with the Lakers, he left. He went to the Rockets. And the tweet resurfaced yesterday. I'm going to put it in the video. I'll put the link on the podcast if you're listening to this on just a regular podcast. But basically, Dwight Howard said, "Thank you, LA. I hope I'm able to make it up to you guys one day." And he tweeted that 2 days after the Lakers got swept in the playoffs, in the first round of the playoffs against the Spurs in 2013. That was the season that Dwight Howard was hurt, Steve Nash was hurt, and Kobe unfortunately hurt his Achilles, and it was never the same. So I think Kobe tore his Achilles with 3 games left in the season, and he was giving it all to just will the Lakers into the playoffs, and ultimately the Lakers were able to punch a ticket into the playoffs, and they met up with the Spurs and they got swept. And 2 days after they got swept by the Spurs, Dwight tweeted that, and his future was uncertain at that point. We didn't know if he was going to come back with the Lakers or if he was going to sign with somebody else. And, just the way things played out, he ended up with the Rockets. And then after that, his career kind of just took a crazy turn. He went from being regarded as, one of the best players in the NBA, the best center in the league, to just a role player, and a role player that, couldn't stay on the roster. He bounced around. He went to Atlanta. I think he went back to Orlando. And then he just became a free agent. Nobody really wanted him. And then he got a role with the Lakers, and he revitalized his career, and now he's a champion as a Laker. And he was a key contributor throughout the whole season, especially in the playoffs against the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. He showed his worth, and he earned his ring. And he had another video where he was just like, when they were celebrating in the locker room and they were all covered in champagne, Dwight had a moment with the trophy, and he was on Instagram Live, I believe, and he was just, "Don't you ever give up on your dreams. Don't you ever give up on your dreams. If you have a dream, just keep at it. Just keep at it. Don't you ever go away from your dreams." And that was just a very touching moment, and it was just like, wow, like he's right. So if you have a dream, never give up on it. Just look at Dwight Howard as an example. He carried his own team to the NBA Finals. He went to the Lakers, had a bad stint. Laker fans, hated him, booed him for what he did, for how he left. And now he's a champion with the Lakers, and Laker fans, adore him now. So life is funny. Life is funny. It's crazy how some things go full circle, and things might be bad one day, but they'll be better in the future. And that's what I took away from what Dwight said, and it's just like a wow on how things go full circle. And another storyline that was just touched me too was Rondo. Rondo, he won a championship, I believe, in 2008 with the Celtics. And, he becomes the first player in NBA history to win a championship with the Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Boston Celtics. And his career is crazy too, because after the Celtics, he was kind of like a damaged good in some sort of sense. Like, he went to the Mavericks, and then he went to Sacramento, and he just couldn't stay on a team, and he kept bouncing around. He went to the Pelicans. He had a postseason with the Heat where he was pretty good, but he never really got back to the Celtics. Rondo, and he was looked at as a headache, and eventually like he was just a free agent. Nobody wanted him, and then he signed with the Lakers, and he said he wanted to be the first player to sign to get a championship with the Lakers and the Celtics, and he put on the show yesterday. He ended up with 19 points, and he was just a great contributor in the playoffs. Like throughout the whole playoffs, he just showed his class again. What a great and smart player he is. And that one shocked me too. It's just seeing the pictures of Rondo just sitting down on the floor and taking everything in, and just the career trajectory that he's had. He might have some thoughts might have crept into his head, saying like, "Damn, am I ever gonna get back to the finals? Am I ever gonna win another championship?" Just the way his career went, it's like a roller coaster, up and down. But he was able to be a champion again, and he was a key contributor. And I know Laker fans, love him, love playoff Rondo, love him just for his genius that he displays on the court. Just all these storylines were there were just a lot of things that I had to process last night as the Lakers won. It was very impressive. I was super happy, and as all these storylines kept popping up, I was like, man, this is one of the best championships ever, just for all these crazy storylines. And another storyline was Jennie Buss becomes the first female owner to win an NBA championship. I know it was tough on her because her brother Jim Buss and Kupchak were running the Lakers in those horrible years that they couldn't make the playoffs and nothing was going right. And Jennie Buss basically had to fire her brother and tell him that, you know what, you're not running the Lakers good. I got to find somebody else. And then she signed Rob Pelinka as the GM, and she signed Magic Johnson as the vice president of basketball operations. And Magic Johnson didn't work out too well. He stepped down, and then it was Rob Pelinka's show, and he did a great job. But Jennie Buss had to make that difficult decision of firing her own brother. And she's tough. She's a tough cookie, and you could tell that she was very happy to bring a championship back to LA. And just shout out to her for being tough, making tough decisions, and making some great hirings, and for bringing the Lakers back to where they belong. It's just an amazing year, amazing championship. LeBron now has 4 titles, and he's definitely, if you didn't have him in the GOAT conversation, he has definitely put himself in that conversation. He had a great speech yesterday where he was just like, Pelinka wants his respect, this organization wants his respect, Jennie wants her respect, Frank Vogel wants her respect, and I want my damn respect. Something along those lines, and that was just like very powerful. I was like, okay, LeBron, this man knows how to talk, and it's right. Like, he's right. I myself have doubted LeBron throughout the years, or just said that he was never gonna be the GOAT, just because it just felt so far, so distant. Like, how could anyone reach that GOAT status when Jordan's record is so perfect? But LeBron has definitely put himself in that conversation where you definitely gotta do the analysis and just be like, all right, if you pick LeBron, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you thinking LeBron is the greatest player of all time. He probably is the greatest of all time. It's just the display for how long, for how many different teams he's done it for, how many different coaches, how many different players have worked with him. It's just very, very impressive, and he might be the GOAT. But yeah, I just wanted to finish this by congratulating the Lakers on your 17th NBA championship. One of the weirdest, strangest, craziest NBA seasons with the halt because of the coronavirus, with the bubble. It's just a crazy, crazy year, and what a way to conclude. Shout out to the Lakers. Shout out to LeBron, and shout out to Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace. One of my favorite players of all time, or probably my favorite player of all time. But with that being said, NBA season is over. Looking forward to the NBA offseason. It's going to be a fun one. I wonder if any players are gonna make a big change. I wonder if the Bucks are gonna trade Giannis. I wonder what the Rockets are gonna do. Are they gonna blow everything up? It's gonna be a crazy offseason. It's gonna be a weird one too, just because it's in a different time. Usually the NBA season will be starting up around this time, or at least the preseason. So I'm very excited for the offseason. I'll keep covering it. If you keep listening to my podcast, I'll just keep bringing it up. Even though it's in the offseason, I'll keep talking about it. The NBA offseason is very entertaining, so I won't stop talking about the NBA. I think the free agency starts on the 18th, so there's gonna be a lot of changes and a lot of things to talk about. So if you're an NBA fan, just keep on listening. I'll be here just talking about basketball. I love basketball. I love basketball. It's one of my favorite sports. It's just an amazing sport, and I love it. But just wanted to talk about also the NFL Week 5. It was a great week of football. I just wanted to start real quick with my Week 5 shoutouts. Week 5 shoutouts real quick. Shout out to Nick Foles. He's 2-0 against Brady. Beat him in the Super Bowl. Beat him Week 5 of 2020 season. The Bears beat the Bucks 2019. Nick Foles, he played all right. He had a couple of throws that I was like, man, the Bears are in a rough position if they got to go back to Trubisky. But that was like early in the game, and he got his game together, and he was able to finish stronger. Jimmy Graham had a crazy catch in the end zone, one-handed. He's not that good as a tight end anymore. He's not a physical freak where he could run hella vertical routes, but he's still a great end zone threat. And then at the end, Brady looked like he forgot what down it was. He thought he still had one more down. He was raising up his four fingers, trying to indicate that it was fourth down, but the play he had just ran was fourth down. So that was pretty funny. It was like a senior moment for Brady. The Bears surprised me. I thought they were gonna lose. I thought the Bucks were gonna take care of them pretty easily, and they didn't. So the Bears have a chance to be a legit team. I believe they're 4-1. Their only loss was last week to the Colts. 4-1. And there's an extra wild card spot. They're probably gonna make the playoffs. So the Bears probably are gonna make it back to the playoffs this year. But yeah, shout out to Nick Foles for beating Brady again, 2-0. My second shout out to the Texans getting their first win of this NFL season after firing Bill O'Brien, their head coach and their GM. They're able to beat the Jaguars 30-14. Brandon Cooks looked like a legit wide receiver again after having 0 yards last week with only 2 targets. He got like over 100 yards and a touchdown. I think Bill O'Brien just didn't know how to run this team. The offense looked like they had no life when he was running it, when he was in charge. Now that Romeo Crennel is the head coach, he's a defensive head coach, but it looked like the offense was running better. I think Bill O'Brien was just incompetent. The Texans look way better. Shout out to the Texans. Shout out to Deshaun Watson getting their first win of the NFL season. My third shout out to the Falcons. The Falcons finally fired their GM and their head coach. Dimitrov and Dan Quinn are now gone. The Falcons are now 0-5. Horrible start to the season. They haven't been the same since they blew that 28-3 lead to the Patriots. What was it, like 3-4 Super Bowls ago? They haven't been the same. The organization hasn't been the same. The belief in the coach hasn't been the same. It was time. It was long overdue. They saved their job last year by ending 6-2, but it was long overdue. Dan Quinn and Dimitrov, they're now gone. They're now in the same boat that the Texans are. They're looking for a head coach. They're looking for a GM. Matt Ryan is getting old. I believe he's like 35 years old now. So we'll see how many more years he has. We'll see what the new head coach and a new GM want to do. If they want to keep him, if they're going to get rid of him and start drafting young. The Falcons need a lot of help, but they at least did the first step. They fired their GM and they fired their head coach. I know a lot of Falcons fans wanted them to be gone like years ago, so I'm sure they're happy right now. But yeah, shout out to the Falcons finally getting rid of Dan Quinn and Dimitrov. They're better off now. And fourth shout out for week 5 would be to Alex Smith. Alex Smith makes his NFL return against the Rams. It was a tough return because he was going against the Rams, and they have a elite defensive front, probably the best front in the NFL. And he got sacked a couple, like 3-4 times, and I was like, wow. Like, after he broke his leg, and it was just a horrible injury, and I think it was like 2 years that he missed almost to come back and go back on the field. It was like a teary-eyed moment. You're just super happy for Alex Smith. I know he had some complications with his surgery. I know I think his bone went through his skin, and then it got infected, and then they feared that he might not even live, that his life was in danger. And all the rehab that he did, and now to be back on the NFL field is just crazy, and it's super impressive. And shout out to Alex Smith for making it all the way back to NFL after the doctors feared for his life. And unfortunately for him, he had to go up against the Rams, and he got sacked 3 or 5 times. It was quite a bit, and I know his wife was probably super worried in the stands, and his kids too. But fortunately, nothing happened to him, and hopefully he should be the starting quarterback moving forward for the Washington football team. So I just wish him the best. I wish him all the health in the world, and I hope he's able to, keep on playing this season and he has a good year. And my final shout out of the week before we start getting into the games, Phillip Rivers. Shout out to Phillip Rivers. Shout out to his agent. They're robbing the Colts. Phillip Rivers got a 1-year, $25 million contract with the Colts after stinking it up with the Chargers probably for the last 2 years or maybe longer that he was in San Diego or in Los Angeles. He didn't play good his last year or two, and I think the Colts just thought that bringing him into a better environment with a better line, he was going to do better, and he has not. Basically, game 1, they let him throw a lot, and they lost. And then after that, for the next 3 weeks, they didn't let him throw that much. They just ran the ball a lot and grinded out games, and they won those 3 games. And then yesterday against the Bears, they needed him to make some throws to keep him in the game, and he couldn't. He threw a lot of bad throws. He got picked off twice, I believe. One of them was a pick 6 that just changed the whole game. And honestly, he could have been intercepted more than twice. He got lucky a couple of times. And the eye test just is not there. He doesn't have the deep throws. When I was a Charger fan and the Chargers were still in San Diego, one of his main strengths was pushing the ball down the field, and now it's not there. His accuracy is not there. His arm strength is not there. I think Phillip Rivers is done. He's washed. He looks washed, and the fact that he was able to get $25 million from the Colts, and they have a pretty impressive roster. Shout out to Phillip Rivers. Shout out to his agent. But yeah, those were my Week 5 shout-outs. Just wanted to touch on some games before we finish this podcast. Just quickly, 3 games that caught my attention were the Raiders versus the Chiefs, the Cowboys versus the Giants, and the Vikings and the Seahawks. Those were the 3 games that really caught my attention this weekend. I'm going to start off with the Raiders and the Chiefs. The Raiders started 2-0 this season, and then they dropped their next 2 games. And they were like, all right, so which Raider team are you? Are you the 2-0 one? Or are you the ones that got, played tougher opponents in the Patriots and the Bills and then dropped 2 games? Like, which one are you? So, I thought they were the 0-2 team. To be honest, I was like, okay, you guys had pretty impressive wins against the Saints. And then who did they played? I forgot who they played for Week 1, but it wasn't that tough an opponent. So I was like, okay, they beat the Saints and then they lost to the Patriots and the Bills. So I was like, okay, they couldn't beat the Bills, they couldn't beat the Patriots. They're probably not going to beat the Chiefs. And lo and behold, they beat the Chiefs 40-32. Derek Carr had an impressive game. Chucky coached a great game. I think the players really believe in Coach Gruden. He's finally, implementing the type of offense that he wants. And the Raiders beat the Chiefs 40-32. That was I did not see that coming. The Chiefs jumped out to like a 14-point lead, I believe, in the beginning, and I thought they were going to go on to rout the Raiders. And I was like, my roommate's a Raider fan. He was watching the game. He was screaming, and I was like, bro, why are you even stressing? It's not worth stressing. The Chiefs are gonna win. Like, just relax, just accept defeat. And I had to eat those words because the Raiders came back and they beat the Chiefs. And especially, it's more impressive because the Chiefs hadn't lost a game since they lost to the Titans on November 10th, 2019. So almost a full calendar year. We were a month away from the Chiefs completing the whole year without losing. And they had won 10 straight regular season games, 13 if you include their postseason run last year. So super impressive run that the Chiefs were on. They looked unbeatable. They looked like they were the best team in the NFL. The way I put it before this game, it was the Chiefs, and then the Ravens, and then everybody else. And then between the Chiefs and the Ravens, there was a gap too. So I just had the Chiefs on this pedestal, and the Raiders just took the Chiefs off that pedestal, put 40 on that defense, were able to keep up with Patrick Mahomes. Derek Carr looked really good. Derek Carr actually forced the ball down the field, and that was pretty shocking because one of the main concerns with Derek Carr, or one of the main drawbacks of having Derek Carr as your franchise quarterback, is that he doesn't push the ball down the field. He's Mr. Captain Checkdown, as many people call him. He just likes to dink and dunk his way down the field, even if he has an open player down the field. He's just looking to dink to the running back or the tight end. And yesterday he had like 4 plays over 40 yards. The Raiders did. And he had 2 super long touchdown passes. I think a 56-yarder to Agler. That was a great throw. And then he had like a 70-yarder, 77-yarder to Henry Ruggs. And that was a great touchdown. Henry Ruggs is a speedster. He just burned his defender. He didn't run that impressive of a route. He just put the burners on and left his defender. Derek Carr just threw it out there in front of him. Henry Ruggs caught it, and he caught a great touchdown. And that offense looked explosive. The offense looked fun. They look like they have weapons now. Agler's coming out of nowhere. I know he was struggling with the Eagles his whole career. He's now with the Raiders, and he looks pretty good. Henry Ruggs, after missing 2 games, just got the burners on. They still have Waller. They still have Brandon Jacobs. Even Booker, their backup running back, had like a good run or two. That offense is looking good. Gruden's building something. And the Chiefs should probably be worried about that defense to let the Raiders gash him for that long. The Raiders were able to keep Mahomes on the sidelines for quite a bit of the game. And if you're the Chiefs and Mahomes is sitting down, that's never a good formula to win. And just Coach Gruden. I've always loved Coach Gruden. I loved him in Monday Night Football. I loved him as a coach. There's something about him that just really like excites me. I like seeing him on the sidelines. If I had a team, I would love to have Coach Gruden as my coach, and the Raiders have him as a coach, and it looks like he's finally getting his handprint all over the team. And there was a key decision to be made at the end of the game. The Raiders had the ball. They were up 8. The Chiefs had stopped them on 3rd down. It was like 4th and 1, and the Raiders had to make the decision. All right, do we go for it on 4th down, or do we punt the ball back to Mahomes? Even though I believe he had no timeouts left, he would have had like a minute or something to go down the field and try to get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And John Gruden was like, no. We're not punting the ball. I'm going to put this ball on my offense, and I have full confidence in them that they're going to get this yard. And let's get out of here. Let's get out of Arrowhead, and let's get this dub. Let's get this win. And that's what he did. On 4th down, he went for it, and the offense was able to get that yard and clinch the game. And those type of moments go a long way, in my opinion, during a season where your coach just puts faith on you on the offense, and you're able to deliver, and it just builds that bond that teams need to get far into the NFL season. And I think Coach Gruden's building that, and the offense was able to pull through for him. And now the Raiders look like they're poised to make a playoff run, or at least make the playoffs. They're definitely going to make the playoffs, I believe, with what they've shown in this first 5 weeks. I think they'll definitely get a wild card spot. And now they're only 1 game back from the Chiefs, so anything could happen, especially right now with not that many fans. Wouldn't put it past them if they compete with the Chiefs for the AFC West. So the Raiders are looking good. I have a lot of Raider fans, and I know they're happy. So Coach Gruden's definitely building something over there. The Raiders are looking very, 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 very good. The Cowboys versus Giants. Cowboys versus Giants. It turned out to be a really fun game. Cowboys won 37-34, but everything was just soured after Dak Prescott unfortunately broke his ankle. He was actually having a pretty good game. He had like one interception at the beginning of the game, but other than that, he was throwing the ball pretty good. And then on this play, he was scrambling. He like broke a tackle. He was trying to stiff arm somebody else to get more yards. And unfortunately, the defender fell on him, and his foot kind of got caught in the grass, and the player fell on him. And it was just very, very. It was a scene that no one wants to see. His ankle was like completely twisted. They said that he broke his ankle, and some of the bone went through his skin. It's just super unfortunate injury. It was super sad to see Dak Prescott crying on the field. They put him on a stretcher, and they drove him out the field. And he was just super emotional, just crying, just tearing up. He was bawling, and then he just put his fist up to the Cowboy fans, the few Cowboy fans that were in the stands, and it was just sad. And the first thing that I felt was, damn, I feel bad. Like, that's a horrible injury. Like, don't wish this upon anybody. I hope he recovers. But then I started thinking about his contract situation. Dak Prescott has been playing he signed a tender. So he got a lot of money for this year, $31 million. He got the franchise tag. $31 million, I believe, is what he made this year. But it's just a 1-year contract. So he's a free agent after the season, and the Cowboys could either franchise tag him again and his number will go higher, or they could not re-sign him, or they could work out a long-term contract. But this offseason, instead of signing that franchise tag, they offered him a long-term contract. It was over $125 million. I think I reported that over 100 of those were guaranteed, and he was going to get like around 35 or higher per year. And everybody was like, you take that money and you run. You secure your financial future. You secure, your family for generations to come. It's generational money. Even though 31 is a lot of money too. Don't get me wrong. 31 could be generational money too. But they were just like, you just secure your future. You get as much money as you can when you're in the NFL. And Dak Prescott bet on himself that he would stay healthy, that he would have a great season. And then this offseason that's coming up, he would get an even better deal, the deal that he was looking for ideally. And it's just super unfortunate that he got hurt. Horrific injury, just super, super unfortunate. But now it makes me wonder, how are the Cowboys going to go forward? How are they going to treat this injury? Are they going to... Because they already didn't want to give him the contract that he wanted, that he was hoping for. So if now that he's hurt, like, are they going to hardball him even more now? Like, are they going to give him less years? Like, what's going to happen? Hopefully, they at least give him the same contract that he was looking for, that they offered him last offseason. And hopefully they don't like try to lowball him now that he's hurt. And yeah, just wish Dak Prescott a speedy recovery. I wish he comes back just as good as he was, or if not better. I was reading some articles and seeing like how serious the injury was, and it's probably season ending, but they were saying that it shouldn't affect his career, that he should be able to come back, at 100% and just be himself again. And some people are even saying that he might be able to come back for a late playoff push, that like it takes 3 to 4 months. If multiple bones got broken, then it might take longer. But if it's 3 to 4 months and the Cowboys make it to like the divisional, or they make it past the wild card, and then the divisional, and then they make it to the conference final, if they make it to the conference championship, that he might be able to come back this year. Which I don't know. I don't know about rushing back like injuries, especially for your franchise QB. But I think that's a good sign that people are saying, oh, he might come back, if they make a deep playoff push. That makes me like more optimistic for his potential future, not just this season, but going forward. But wouldn't that be a crazy scenario that the Cowboys somehow make the playoffs under Andy Dalton, and then they manage to win a game or two in the playoffs, and then Andy Dalton's playing like just decent, like whatever, not nothing spectacular, and then Dak Prescott comes in the divisional round or the championship game in the NFC, and he leads them to like the Super Bowl or something. That'd be insane. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think he's even gonna touch the field. I don't think if the Cowboys do make the playoffs, because that division is a joke and they can still win it with Andy Dalton. He's decent enough to maneuver that really talented team into a playoff spot. But once they get to the playoffs with Andy Dalton, I don't have them winning a single game. But if they somehow manage to win a game or two and Dak Prescott comes back, that would be insane. That would be a crazy, crazy story. And just as far as the game went, it was Andy Dalton didn't look bad. He looked confident with his throws. The Cowboys made a smart signing by signing Andy Dalton as a backup quarterback. He's a pretty good quarterback. He's always on that barometer. He's on that line where people are like, all right, if you have a quarterback better than Andy Dalton, you're like pretty good. If you have a quarterback that's like around Andy Dalton, you're like, all right. He's the difference between like having a bad quarterback and having a good quarterback. Like he's a threshold. Like if you're above that, you're a pretty good quarterback. If you're below Andy Dalton, you're like a bad quarterback. So he's pretty decent. He's not bad. So he's probably the best backup in the NFL, and now he's the starter. So the Cowboys still have probably the most talented team in the NFC East, and the Eagles lost again. So now they take a 1-game lead on the Eagles with a lot of NFL season left. But I do think the Cowboys could sneak into the playoffs. Just it's them and the Eagles. The Washington football team has I don't think they have a chance, and the Giants are 0-5, so they don't have a chance either. So it's going to come down to the Cowboys and the Eagles, and I believe Andy Dalton does have it in him to at least make it competitive, and they'll be in the hunt come week 16. But just to reiterate, just super, 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 super unfortunate that Dak Prescott got hurt. I wish him the best. I know he had talked about depression like before the season, and that was a big topic, and everybody commended him for speaking up on it and how he's a Cowboys quarterback. He's going through depression and stuff like that. And just he seems like a great guy, and I just hope he has a great recovery and he comes back even better than he was before. And I hope he gets paid. Number one, pay the man. Pay the man. Jerry Jones, pay the man. But one more game that I wanted to touch on real quick before we finish this episode of the Hard to Handle podcast. Vikings versus Seahawks. The Seahawks sneak out a victory against the Vikings 27-26. The Seahawks didn't look good throughout the game, if I'm being honest. The Vikings came in as a 1-3 team, just struggling to get anything going. And the Seahawks came in 4-0, looking like a very good team. And they struggled. They struggled the whole game. The Vikings, to their credit, they put a great effort yesterday. Cooks, their running back went down. Dalvin Cook went down. He's their best offensive player, I believe. And for him to go down and for them to, still be competitive and show a lot of effort, show a lot of heart, that was pretty impressive by the Vikings. Madison came in and had a good game, so they were still able to run the ball pretty good. But with the game on the line, I think they had a chance to score a field goal and push the lead to 8 with like less than 2 minutes left. And instead, Coach Zimmer tried to go for it on 4th down. He tried to just wrap up the game. I think it was 4th and 2 or 4th and 1, and if they got it, they would have just ended the game. They would have beat the Seahawks, pulled the upset. But the Seahawks defense came through for once this season and stuffed them on 4th down, and then that led to probably the best drive of the NFL season so far. Russell Wilson had the ball. I think he had to go like 96 yards to go with no timeouts, or one timeout. I believe he had to go the length of the field, and it was just a masterful display by Wilson. It just drove him. I think it's the drive started with Russell Wilson being vintage Russell Wilson, escaping the pocket. He picked up maybe 15 yards running, and then they couldn't get much going. 4th and 10, finds DK Metcalf on the left side, Metcalf makes a pretty impressive catch, goes out of bounds, and you're like, okay, like now they're in the Vikings, side of the field. This could really happen, and they drive it all the way to the goal line, or not the goal line, but like inside the 10-yard line. And on second down, I believe Russell Wilson is rolling to his right. He has DK Metcalf wide open, throws it. It looks like it's a touchdown, but I don't know if DK Metcalf doesn't secure it too hard, or I don't know what happened, but the defender comes in there like right after he catches it and punches it out, and it's an incomplete pass. And then it's third and goal. They can't do much. It's fourth and goal with like 20 seconds left. Russell Wilson finds DK Metcalf for the game-winning touchdown. They try to go for two, but they can't. But it's still enough to take a 1-point lead. And the Vikings didn't have enough time, and they lose. But that last drive was so impressive. Just Russell Wilson hadn't had the best game. DK Metcalf hadn't had the best game. But when it mattered, when it counts, they come up big for the Seahawks. They're able to get the win. They go to 5-0. Now they have a bye coming up. They have a bye in week 6. Jamal Adams missed another game. He didn't play against the Vikings. He's one of the top 3 safeties in the league. They traded a lot of capital to get him. And he hasn't been playing, I believe, the last 2 or 3 weeks. And the defense has struggled. But now they're getting healthy. They have week 6 to get healthy. And then by week 7, I feel like Jamal Adams should be back on the field. And that's really going to help out their defense. And, yeah, it's just impressive. Like, I feel like this is the games that really good teams find a way to win. Like, you're playing a team that hasn't done that good, that has, that has stars, that has high expectations, but they haven't started the season that well. And it's kind of like a trap game. It's like the Vikings. Like, they're a good team. They just haven't played good this season. And you're a good team, and you're feeling yourself, and it's raining, and you have a tough game. And the Vikings are leading like most of the game, but good teams figure out a way to win those type of games. And Russell Wilson and the Seahawks were able to pull that game out yesterday, and it was just super impressive. And it just gives me more confidence that the Seahawks are going to be there at the end of the season, because I had the Seahawks making it to the Super Bowl, and I feel like those are the type of games that Super Bowl caliber teams win. Ugly game, raining, team's not playing the best, you're missing your star on defense. The other team's hungry to get their season kickstarted. If the Vikings win, if the Vikings beat the Seahawks, they go to 2-3. The season might not be over. They might be able to salvage something for the season. They're fighting for everything. And the Seahawks were able to pull it off. Super impressive win. Super impressive by Wilson, just orchestrating a beautiful drive at the end. It was a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the end of it. It was a great game. Just tip my hat to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson for MVP. Been saying it all season long. I'm going to keep saying it if he keeps playing like this. Russell Wilson for MVP. As far as the Vikings, missed opportunity. Definitely a missed opportunity. If they would have beaten the Seahawks, their season would not have been over yet. They would have beaten the Texans last week, and they would have beaten the Seahawks. They would have won their last 2 games. They could have been building something. Now they lose. They fought a 1-4 season. The Bears are now 4-1. The Packers are 4-0. It's looking very, very tough for them to come back. They have a rough schedule. And now Dalvin Cook got hurt. We're still waiting to see how hurt he is. But it's looking tough for the Vikings. It looks like their season is done. If I was them, I would not. They just paid Cook a lot of money this offseason. So if I'm them, I don't rush Cook back. I let him take his time. The season is pretty much over. I'll work him in however slow I have to, just because I don't want to, risk him aggravating this injury when he's a franchise player. So sorry for the Vikings. You guys just played a juggernaut in the Seahawks that just finds a way to win it. And Russell Wilson is as good as anybody right now in the NFL, if not better than everybody. He might be the best player in the NFL right now. Russell Wilson for MVP. But yeah, that was episode 10 of the Hard to Handle podcast. One more time, just wanted to reiterate, congratulations to the Los Angeles Lakers in winning their 17th title. What an accomplishment. LeBron James, you're in the GOAT status. You're definitely in the conversation. No one could deny that. You are amazing. And great week of NFL football. Russell Wilson for MVP. Dak Prescott, I hope you get better. I hope you get paid. And shout out to Phillip Rivers for stealing $25 million from the Colts. And this is Ismael San Juan signing out. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening to me. Like, comment, and subscribe, or just follow my podcast wherever you're listening to this. Thank you so very much. Have a great day.